So this week in the tech news, Ryzen 3000 prices have been leaked by a Singapore retailer. Google's Project Zero has discovered a bug in macOS and released the details to the public. Samsung is working on 2 new foldable phones, and they are also having a few issues with the Fold. And you need to update Chrome now due to a bug that has been discovered. And the next generation of iPad is rumoured to retain both Touch ID and the headphone jack. Welcome to this week's Tech Plugged In. So we're going to be looking at the latest tech news. So at the beginning of this week, Ryzen 3000 prices were leaked by a Singapore retailer. So this new series of processors is expected to be released at Computex, along with the motherboards with 500 series chipsets. So early pricing has been shown, and there are higher end chips that are expected under the Ryzen 9 banner. So this is interesting because of the fact there will be 7nm on the Zen 2 architecture that would stray into Threadripper territory in terms of core count and thread count. So these chips will be there to compete with the Intel i9 family, and will be able to compete due to higher clocks thanks to the movement to 7nm and the architecture improvements. So prices for the Ryzen 3 start at $1,051 approximately and end at $501 for the top end Ryzen 7. The top end Ryzen 9 is expected to be $760. So this is quite an interesting thing, and you can see, if you look at the story on our blog, we have linked to a sheet that has all the specs for these as well. And now we've got a bug report for you. So Google's Project Zero has actually released details on a macOS bug due to the fact that Apple has not updated to fix this bug. So the vulnerability has been named Buggy Cow and allows attackers to bypass protection on macOS's copy on write system that is used for memory management. It basically allows the modification of the user's file system without any warnings to the management system. So Wired said it was like airline passengers carefully watching airport security rifle through their bags, but not bothering to check the contents were all there when they reached their destination. So Wired noted that this vulnerability would require malware to already be running on the target machine, and even then it could only do so found a highly privileged program that kept its sensitive data on the hard drive rather than memory. So Google has published this bug due to the fact that Apple has not patched the bug within their 90-day period, and they did not give the 14-day extension due to them not seeing any good reason to do so, as Apple does not look to have started on a bug fix. Now, with the release of the Galaxy Fold, Samsung is reportedly working on 2 more foldable phones. So according to a report in Bloomberg, they're working on 2 more phones along with the Galaxy Fold to gain advantage in this new emerging market sector. So they're said to be working on a clamshell-like handset and another that folds in a similar way to the Mate X from Huawei. So the people discussing this obviously asked not to be identified due to the fact that they're leaking internal plans. So the current folding device that Samsung plans to release folds inwards like a notebook. So it's obviously still too early for us to gauge the demand for these devices, and you can let us know in the comments what your opinion is on this. So Samsung and its rivals are obviously eager to get the upper hand on Apple, who currently has no plans leaked or disclosed for this type of device. Nobody knows what the ideal design is, said the Vice President of Devices Research at IDC, so obviously everybody is experimenting. A spokesperson for Samsung declined to comment on the matter, and the clamshell-like device is planned to be unveiled at the end of this year or early next year. The company is reportedly using mock-ups to fine-tune the design. An extra screen is planned to be placed on the outside. However, this may be removed based off of feedback from users on the Galaxy Fold. They are also supposedly incorporating an under-display fingerprint reader for the foldable lineup. The other device, which exists as a prototype after being considered for the first one, will roll out afterwards. It will be thinner because it has no extra screens in use. And Samsung also has had a few issues with the Galaxy Fold. So there is an issue with the durability of the display. Problem is that as you fold it and unfold it and keep doing this, after roughly 10,000 times a crease forms in the display. It is actually bad enough that Samsung is considering offering free screen replacements. So the screen imperfection develops on the protective film covering the touch sensor, and this is one reason why Samsung kept the phone inside a glass case at Mobile World Congress in Barcelona. So, a spokesperson for Samsung said that the Galaxy Fold was displayed in this way not because it had any quality issues, but rather they wanted more attention on the soon-to-be released S10. And we have another bug report this week. They're coming in fast, actually. So everybody is being advised to upgrade Chrome as soon as possible. There's currently a major issue with their security system at the moment. The issue is so serious that Chrome's lead security officer is calling on all users to update their browser now. The problem is related to the file reader API. So this is used to allow sites to read files on your PC, and this zero-day attack allows sites to break out of the quarantined sandbox that they are given. So they're kept in here and they can break out and go all the way over here and mess with your files and even execute code on your device. So the scariest thing about this vulnerability is that it wasn't discovered in a lab like most bugs, such as the one we discussed a minute ago about macOS. This was discovered in the wild and is known to be in use by malicious actors. So this is why it was the lead security officer that took the step of warning users that they needed to update as fast as possible. And the Apple iPad is rumoured to retain both Touch ID and the headphone jack, thankfully. So, rumours from Asian suppliers on Friday suggest that the 7th gen iPad will keep both of these features. So citing sources that are on Alibaba, Mac Okutara reports that Apple has no plans to change the design of the 9.7-inch budget iPad, as they call it. At least one of these suppliers also believes a 10-inch model is in the works, but specs for this have not been confirmed. This does fall into line with predictions from an Apple analyst said in February that the low-end tablet would sport a 10.2-inch display. The retention of Touch ID rather than switching to Face ID shows their desire to try and keep their production costs down. Whether these savings will be passed on to you as the end user remains to be seen. These reports also obviously did not say whether or not the device would keep the Lightning port or move to the newer, better USB-C standard. Finally, these sources also claimed that there will be an iPad mini 5 released with similar changes to internals such as faster processor. So thank you for watching. like this video, share it with your friends and subscribe. All this would help us out.